So Mr. Miller can see, and if there's anybody else that couldn't make it, they could see. And this is the first time I've ever done this. And the reason I always am trying to think outside the box and come up with ways to help kids and help parents. So I was laying down one day on the couch and I'm like, what can I do to help parents and kids maybe a little bit and, to understand better the requirements of third grade, because I'm sure you all agree that it's a big jump from second to third. And it's not like when we were in third grade. It's not the same. And so I think as parents we're like, what are they requiring these kids to do? It's a lot. And I realize that. But I also want to share with you that although it is a big jump and it's a lot harder, these kids are going to be so prepared. And I just want to give you a small story. And my son will not hopefully ever see this video. Because my son Wyatt is a freshman in college. And so he missed all the new standards, what we call the CCR standards, college and career readiness standards, which have been in place for, I don't know, Stacy, how many years? 3, maybe 4? And those are the standards that's made things a lot more stringent and a lot harder for all grade levels, but especially third. And so Wyatt didn't get to go through those standards, and Wyatt's Royce, my other son's kind of getting the tail end of those standards. Well, as a freshman in college, he is struggling. And I mean, he's getting B's and C's, but he's not getting the A's and B's he's used to in high school. And he didn't get the curriculum that you guys are getting, that your kids are getting. And I think in the end, just hang in there. It really is going to be beneficial for your kids. It is. And I know at times you're thinking it's a little too much. It's probably too hard. I can't believe they're asking that much of these kids to do this. Just I can vouch for that. My son's struggling a little bit. And the other thing I want to share with you on that is we were studying for his SAT before he went to college. And one of the questions was worded exactly like our third grade questions. Just harder content. That's all. The content was harder, but the wording was the same. Well, he wasn't familiar with the wording because he had never seen it, because he was never part of this college and career readiness standards. But your kids then, by the time they get there, they're going to be like, I got this. So I just wanted to share with you a little bit about that. And also wanted to share with you that those standards, unfortunately, come from the state. So Mrs. Jones doesn't make them, and Mr. Miller doesn't make them, and our school doesn't make them. We just have to implement them. So sometimes we are the bearer of bad news, and we're the ones that don't shoot the messenger type of thing, because, we just have to do what we're told. So I try to make it as fun as we can and as easy as we can, but yet I know it's a struggle. So as moms and dads, do you agree that it's been a big jump for you? I mean, what's you guys' opinion? Do you agree with that? That it's been hard? Has any of you said, I cannot believe they're doing this in third grade? Has anybody said that yet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I hope you said, that's the state government, darn them, and not Mrs. Jones. Because I would do things differently, but I have to do what I'm told to do. So, but again, I want to put a positive twist on that because of my experience with Wyatt. And like I said, hopefully he never sees this video ever. He would just kill me to think that I shared with you that he's not doing as well as he wants to be. But, so, in the end, I think it's all going to be worth it. So what I want to do, this is not going to be like something totally new that we haven't done, but I thought it would be good to go through it together. That way you see how we do it in class. And so then if you're at home with them, you can be maybe using the same vocabulary, same strategies, or at least know, this is how Mrs. Jones says it, so maybe I can follow and do it the same way for consistency. And get an idea on how these questions are asked. They are difficult. A lot of them are difficult. We have to train our brains to answer these type of questions now. Because a lot of the questions are dependent on the previous question. And kids aren't used to doing that, you know. And they're not used to going back to that previous question and deciding based on that answer, what do I have to do for this question? That's a new thing that came with these new standards. So what I've done, we'll just see how time goes. I've provided 2 things to go through as a group, and it's informal, like ask questions, and you know, you don't have to be quiet just because you're on video. And then I've got one to send home with you. And if we don't get through both of them, I've got 2 of them to send home with you, as well as the answer keys, so that then after we go through at least one tonight, you can practice at home with them with the extras I'm sending with you and be able to utilize the same things that we do in class. All the kids are probably going to be able to help us, but we're still, the biggest struggle with all the, I shouldn't say all, most of the kiddos is going back in the text, and they're just not willing to take the time. And as parents, all I can tell you is that if they don't learn that skill, it's not just a 3rd grade skill, it's a forever skill, and they're going to have to learn to go back in the text. And not just go back and flip through and, you know, nonchalantly. They've got to find where it's talking about that particular topic. And so, as they grow up and get more mature, they get better at it. I'm sure you've already noticed your kids are getting a little better at recognizing, and we're, you know, only into the second 9 weeks, so second semester after Christmas, although things get harder, I also see the kids mature a lot, and they grow a lot, and so they're more used to it, so normally it gets better after the second semester too. So, first semester, going into the second semester. All right, so we're going to do one together, and we're going to just do it like we do in class. That way you guys see, well, how does she teach it in class? What does she do? And I have some extra pencils if you need them. If you kids want to get yours off your desk, you can. Everybody have one? Anybody want any more yummies? Come get them. Oh, you're not shy. You're not shy. Anybody need pencils? You're welcome.
Want the pencil? With the eraser?
Yeah.
She says hers doesn't have the eraser.
Okay. Anybody else need pencils? Sure. Anybody else?
Oh, I can.
Sure.
Sorry. Finish my salad well better.
Everybody good? Okay, so the very first thing that we do whenever we are doing what we call a close read, and then some of you may say, what is a close read? A close read is, what is a close read? You want to tell us? It's okay. A close read is basically when you read a passage and it kind of defines itself. You're reading it closely. You're not just reading it and hurrying through it. You are stopping and you are using your reading strategies. And you are asking things like, what is the author's purpose for writing this? What is the genre of this text? What's the main idea of this text? Those are all things that I try to teach the kids we have to do on every paper we read. Any passage we read. What's the author's purpose? What's the main idea? And what's the text structure, which I'll explain what that is. And what's the genre? Genre is important because in third grade they really start teaching genre. In second grade they don't do that so much, so third grade that's the first time they're exposed a lot to genres and the types of genres and why is it that genre. And so those are the things that we ask ourselves as we go. So anytime I hand out a close read, the first thing we do, after we put our name on it, who can tell me? Do you remember, Riley? What do? We number our
Paragraphs?
paragraphs. Now, some of these paragraphs are just one sentence. Anytime it's indented, no matter what, it's numbered. And so this one actually seems really long, but it's not. But it goes to 27 paragraphs, because some of them only have one sentence or two sentences in a paragraph. So we number our paragraphs. Sometimes we get lucky, and they do that for us. And I can't remember, just to be honest with you, if standardized testing does it or doesn't. But we always do number our paragraphs, so you should end up with 27.
Oh, I got 26.
Did ya? Well, there might have been one sentence indented that you, because it's crazy how, because I tell the kids to write a paragraph and they're like, you know, I'm saying you gotta have 3 to 5 sentences.
Yeah.
And then these paragraphs have one. That doesn't work well, I know, but I'm like, no, we gotta have 3 to 5 sentences. So, the reason we number our paragraphs, in this particular text, I don't think it does it so much as the second one that I have to go through with you. It's always asking you, in paragraph such and such, in paragraph such and such. You gotta know which paragraph's what, to be able to go back to it. So we just number them right away. The next thing we do is we always look at the title, The Secret of the Umbrella. And we just make some predictions. What's it going to be about? Some kids are right, some kids are wrong. Sometimes we don't predict it right at all, and that's okay. But it gets them thinking about the text. And it gets them thinking about what we might start reading about. So the secret of the umbrella. What do you think, Layla? What do you think it could be about?
That a monkey steals an umbrella.
A monkey could steal an umbrella. That's very possible. Anybody else have any ideas what, based on the title, what this could, we're just predicting. Doesn't mean you're right, wrong, or indifferent. The secret of the umbrella. You think, yes?
It could have got lost.
Could have got lost. Xavier?
There could be a secret about the umbrella that the monkey doesn't know.
Good one. Could be a secret about the umbrella that the monkey doesn't know. And so, we just do a few predictions in class. And now our paragraphs are all numbered. And then depending on time is how much the class reads versus how much I read of the passage. So, I do a little bit of both. But I will start out with paragraph 1, and I'll have the kids help me read a little bit along. But the reason I want to start with paragraph 1, I'll tell you here in just a minute. And then, of course, I tell them they have to follow along, and their eyes have to be on the paper and not gawking around the room, right? Because, and you know, I mean, you could even be faking it and sitting there and looking at the paper, but your eyes have to be on the paper. Because if they're over here, that's not doing anything for us, right? So, that's important. So, the first paragraph, monkey lived in an oasis. I stop. Why do I stop? Why do I stop, Layla? I stopped right away. Why?
Because you don't know what that word means.
And there's a little number 1 by it, isn't there? See that little number 1 by oasis? And that tells us that word is defined somewhere, and it's at the end of the passage. 3rd graders don't know what an oasis is, and a lot of times they will put vocabulary, but they'll always number it or put it in bold or italicize it to let you know. So at the very end of your passage, it tells you what an oasis is. And an oasis is what, Layla?
An area in a desert where there is water and plants.
Okay. So now we go on, but we couldn't go on because if we just kept reading, the kids would have no clue what oasis was. So I always stop for vocabulary that they may not know.
There could be a question in the story.
Right, there might be a question about it too. And so, first thing as parents, if you don't know the word, you know they don't know the word. And if you do and you don't think they would, then always stop. That's a reading strategy right there when I say a reading strategy. Kids will just read right over it. They'll just keep reading. And then they'll get to the end and they'll have no idea what an oasis is. That's why we got to teach them to stop. So, monkey lived in an oasis in the great Indian desert Every day he stood at the edge of the oasis and stared out at the desert. The sand shimmered with heat and mystery. He wanted to explore the world beyond his home, but the desert looked much too hot. So after the first paragraph, I stop and I say, what have we learned so far? What have we learned so far? Who are we talking about? What have we learned so far?
What is oasis?
We have learned what an oasis is. What else? Who is our character? Who's our character? Xavier.
The monkey.
We got a monkey, right? And he is staring at the edge of the oasis and stared out at the desert. What's he wanting to do? What is the monkey wanting to do? Layla.
Explore beyond his home.
He wants to explore beyond his home, right? But why can't he explore beyond his home? There's a reason he can't explore beyond his home. What is it?
Because he thinks it's too hot.
But the desert looked much too hot. So he's got a problem, doesn't he? The problem is he wants to explore,
But the desert's too hot.
but the desert is too hot. So that's exactly how I would go through it in class, just like that. So if you're reading with them at home, that would be how I would do it. That doesn't mean it's 100% right, but it works. Okay, paragraph 2. Can you read it for me, please, Xavier?
One morning, Monkey got into a headstand to see the world upside down.
He spied.
Spied something interesting. It was an umbrella with a golden handle.
Okay,
Cool.
so we have the umbrella has been introduced now, and it has a gold handle. And he got into a headstand to see the world upside down. Why do you think he'd do that, Xavier?
Maybe to try to, hang on, let me try to think.
It's okay. Well, he is a monkey. And monkeys, you know, who knows what way the monkeys are going to be.
You're silly?
Yeah, just a silly monkey.
Yeah, maybe because he was so a monkey and he was trying to find out another way to be able to explore the world, probably.
But that may be. He might be able to explore the world if he's upside down.
So
So he found this umbrella. So now we have our character, the monkey. We found an umbrella. We know he's wanting to explore the desert. Okay?
Could I try to tell you something I think the monkey might do with the umbrella? He might go grab the umbrella and he might go explore once he has the umbrella.
That's a good prediction. Let's see what happens next. Okay, Riley, can you do paragraph 3 for me?
Monkey's tail twitched in delight. It could use that umbrella for shade as to go on my journey. He took the umbrella under his arm and dashed off to the desert.
Okay, so now, does it appear that the monkey's problem has been solved? What do you think, Hayden? Does it look like it's been solved? Yeah, because now what is he? Why is he able to go into the desert now? What's he have to help protect him? The umbrella, right? So now he's like, yay, I get to go now. My problem has been solved. Okay, so now we're in paragraph 4. The sun beat down and Monkey was hot. He opened the umbrella. He was cooler in the shade, but the bottoms of his feet still burned. This ground needs rain, he said. So all of his problems weren't solved yet, were they? Right then, rain began to fall from the umbrella. This umbrella is amazing, he cried. So, what's happened with the umbrella now? What's the umbrella given the monkey?
Rain.
And shade, right? So, what's that?
I think I know something else. It's giving him stuff that he, like, rain and everything he wants.
Right. He needed shade, he needed rain, so he's got both from the umbrella. Layla.
I bet it's a magical umbrella.
Could be. So now we're ready for paragraph 7. Clayton, you want to do 7 for me?
Monkey's stomach growled, and the umbrella's ring changed
and 2 bananas. Monkey could not believe his eyes. He ate the sweet-smelling fruit until he was full.
So now what's happened? We went from I was hot, now I need some rain, and now I'm hungry. So that umbrella took care of all 3 problems for the monkey.
This is kind of like the stone cutter thing.
A little bit, yeah. Wait till we get to the end and you'll be close on that. Yep. So the umbrella is pretty nifty. My umbrella hadn't done that. Any of that? Has your umbrella done any of that for you lately?
No.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Look at that.
Yeah. And we can all make a connection. We've used an umbrella, but our umbrellas haven't done what the monkey's umbrella is doing, right?
Right.
So Tiger had followed Monkey out of the oasis. He was dazzled by the umbrella. Okay, he was dazzled by the umbrella. Why do you think the tiger was dazzled by the umbrella? What do you think dazzled means? What do you think, Luke?
It looks cool.
Looks cool
I think I know.
to the tiger? What else?
Interesting.
Interesting. Layla?
Interested?
He's interested in that umbrella, isn't he? He's dazzled by it. He's interested in it. So paragraph 9. And I always repeat what paragraph we're on, so I'll make sure they're with me and where we're at, especially when you stop. It's hard to always go back and forth. Oh, help me, Tiger said. I'm too hot. Monkey said, sit under the umbrella for shade. Tiger grinned. He muttered, I'll clench that umbrella in my teeth and take it. So, what do you think? Does the tiger have good intentions or bad intentions, Riley?
Bad.
Bad intentions. Because he grinned and he muttered. What's muttered mean? If you're talking like this and you're kind of muttering right under your breath.
Not
If you're-
talking loud.
Yeah, you're kind of under your breath so that they don't know, they can't hear it. But he's thinking, I'll clench that umbrella. Oh, clench that umbrella. No, I'll take it. Okay, so he's muttering it under his breath so that they can't hear it. Okay, so Tiger does not have good intentions. Paragraph 12, but the umbrella closed tight around his head. Clap!
Oh,
No, get this horrible thing off of me. Tiger untangled himself and took off. So how many of you think Tiger got what he deserved? What do you think? You think he got what he deserved? Because he didn't have good intentions, did he? He did not have good intentions.
how was the umbrella heard?
Right. So, paragraph 14. You want to read that for me? Caden, want to do 14 for me?
Sure. Monkey
Scratched.
scratched his head and turned the umbrella every which way. He saw nothing strange, so he continued on his journey.
So why would the monkey scratch his head and look at the umbrella? Why do you think he would do that? Why would he scratch his head and look at the umbrella? What do you think, Xavier?
Maybe because he thought he was noticing something strange was happening with the umbrella.
Right? It went clap onto the tiger's head, right?
And
And he's thinking,
he was like, he might have scratched his head because he didn't know, he might have not knew why the umbrella just clapped right in the.
absolutely.
Or he didn't.
So, what?
He didn't ask the umbrella.
True, he didn't. What reading strategies are we using right now as we're going through? Layla, what are the
Questions?
asking questions? The best reading strategy is asking questions. What is another one we're using, Clay, right now? As we go through each paragraph, or maybe after 2 or 3 paragraphs, I'll stop and we do what?
Then we tell what's going on.
We tell what's going on. So it doesn't matter whether you're doing it as a group. It doesn't matter whether you are on a test, and I tell them this all the time. Whenever they take a test, it's no different than what we do in class. It's just called a test. But it's the same thing that we do every single day. So when they're reading on a test and they get on there and they see that it's 30-some paragraphs, they can't freak out and be all worried about that. We've done 30 paragraphs in class, right? You take paragraph by paragraph. Now, does that mean you spend a minute? No, you can't spend a minute, after each paragraph. But after each paragraph, you need to stop and think. Ask yourself a question. What did I just read? Who is my character? What's the setting? What are they doing? Is there a new character? Okay?
Tiger.
There's a new character of Tiger. Okay? Yes, Riley.
I was gonna tell you summarizing.
Yes, summarizing. Absolutely. Asking questions, summarizing, making connections. If there's a story that your kids are familiar with and their background knowledge, they'll understand a lot better if they can make connections to it. Predictions, like we've been making some predictions, those are all strategies. And then you're like, well, how's that going to make my child comprehend this better? Well, it does, because practice, practice, practice. And as you do it and it becomes more consistent with them, they'll get better and better. I promise. They will get better and better. And 4th grade will be easier, and then 5th grade will be easier, and then middle school will be easier. It will. And so it's just going to build from here. So hopefully we're getting a really good foundation started. All right, so now we are on paragraph 15. Along the way, Cobra had followed Monkey too. Psst, Cobra whispered, I want to tell you something. Put down that umbrella for a minute. Cobra slithered closer. He thought, I'll wrap my coils around the umbrella and steal it. Why does Cobra want to steal it?
Because that's the golden handle.
Okay.
Magical.
Because he thinks it's magical. It has a golden handle. That might be interesting.
And maybe because he might be hot, kind of like the tiger was, and he thought he could steal it, and he probably doesn't know that he might actually not know that the umbrella can get the snake.
Or when he wraps it around it, it'll pop open and it'll fly and shoot him across the.
It could. Good predictions. Do you think he has good intentions?
No.
No. So let's see what happens in paragraph 17. You read that for me, please, Riley.
But when the monkey put the umbrella down, it turned inside out. Swoop.
Swoop. It's got an exclamation point, so we got to give that. Swoop. That thing is useless, Cobra hissed and slipped away. So Cobra didn't get it either, did he? So, paragraph 19, Monkey lifted the umbrella and it returned to normal. What an odd umbrella, he said. Paragraph 20, just then he heard moans beyond a sand dune. What's a sand dune? What do you think? He heard moans beyond a sand dune. Has anybody ever played in a sand pile? It's kind of like a sand pile. Okay? Just a big sand pile. So, we've all played in the sand, right? So, paragraph 20. Just then, he heard moans beyond a sand dune. He found a weary gazelle under the scorching sun. A weary gazelle. So, how is the gazelle feeling if he's feeling weary? Kind of like, you feel weary sometimes, Hayden? Like now? So if you feel weary, how do you feel when you feel weary?
Tired.
Tired. Maybe you don't feel good. Okay?
Maybe
What do you think, Clayton?
Weak.
Weak. You feel weak and tired. Okay? So let's read paragraph 21. Can you read that for me, please? Clayton.
Let me help you, said Monkey. He shaded the gazelle with the umbrella. The umbrella began to rain.
Okay, keep going.
Thank you, said Gazelle. Tender blades of grass began to grow
Keep going, one more.
Gazelle ate a patch of green grass and soon felt better. How can I repay you? She asked.
So we had the weary gazelle. How did the monkey help the gazelle? Layla.
He gave him the umbrella.
And then what did the umbrella shaded the gazelle, but what else?
It rained and everywhere the rain fell, it fell in a patch of grass.
And then the gazelle could eat, right? So it was shaded, it could drink, then it could eat. And then the gazelle wanted to repay the monkey, right? And paragraph 25, monkey replied, "There's no need to repay me. You've shown me the secret of my umbrella. You were grateful, not greedy. Will you travel with me?" Gazelle leaped for joy. With the umbrella, the friends set out to explore India. Sometimes they stood on their heads to see the world upside down. So, what do you think the lesson was here? What do you think the lesson was? Layla.
Don't be greedy, just ask for it nicely and you'll get what you want.
Well, exactly. Don't be greedy, because the snake was not. The snake was going to be greedy, wasn't he? He did not have good intentions at all. He wasn't being nice. Okay, the tiger was being greedy. He was not thinking about anybody but himself. What do you think, Luke? You want to add to it? The lesson?
Problem and solution.
Okay, we'll get to that in just a second. Little ahead. Xavier?
What did you say?
To the lesson.
Oh, to the lesson. I have something that Layla forgot to put on the lesson.
That's what I was saying. You want to add to it? Yeah.
According to the text.
Yeah. According to the text, using that text talker. Why do we use text talkers, by the way, when we're writing? Which we'll get into that next week for the writing portion. But I'm sure parents are like, according to the text out. But, yeah. But why do we use that text talker? Interject that right now for us, Xavier.
Because it's in the text.
Good point. It's in the text. And as the reader, then do I know you looked in the text?
Yes.
Yeah, I know you went to the text. So we'll talk more about that next week. But also, let me help you, said Monkey. Did the gazelle ask for help, or did the monkey offer help to the gazelle?
The monkey offered help.
The monkey offered help. So the other two, tiger and the snake, they were out for themselves. They wanted the umbrella, and they kept asking for the umbrella, right? But the gazelle, even though the gazelle was weary, it didn't ask for anything. It didn't ask for anything. So sometimes the lesson is, when you don't ask for things, you receive what you need. And when you ask for things that you don't need, or you have the wrong intent when you ask for things, you may not get it. Just like the tiger didn't get it, and the snake didn't get the umbrella, because they were not nice, and they were not asking for something they needed. Okay? So, there is a lesson, but there are synonyms to the word lesson. You as parents, because this is crazy to me that there's so many synonyms, but they will say, what is the lesson of this story? Or, when I say they, it's writers. What is the lesson of the story? Or they will say, what is the moral of the story? Or they will say, what is the central message of the story? Or they will say, what is the
Main idea.
no, not this one. Main idea is different. We're just doing synonyms to lesson. They will say theme. What is the theme? So, lesson, moral, central message, theme, all synonyms. So I try to teach the kids all kinds of vocabulary, because I don't want them missing things just because of a word. Because if we just say lesson in class and then they get on a test someday and they say moral or central message, they're not gonna know what they're talking about. So that's kind of the new thing with the new standards, is expanding your vocabulary, knowing a lot of different ways of saying the same thing, okay? So, just wanted to add that in for parents, and the kids are getting really good at knowing those. Now back to Luke, who said problem and solution. Another big thing, which they never did, that I remember when I was in 3rd grade, the text structure. What is the text structure? Or how is the text organized? We didn't ever talk about that. We just read it. I don't know about you guys. Did you just read it in 3rd grade? That's all I did. I don't remember learning about the text structure or how it was organized. So it's going deeper. Just making the kids understand that we're not just reading it, but we gotta know, how is that text organized? So there's different types of text structures, and I'm teaching them in class, but if you hear it at home, then you'll know more now what that means. It's how the text is organized. And so in this case, how was this text organized? You had it earlier, Luke. How is this text organized? Remember the text structure? You told me earlier. Problem and solution. The monkey had a problem. Couldn't go out in the desert.
The solution was there was an umbrella. Everything he needed, the umbrella gave him.
Yep, the umbrella gave him what he needed, and then he found a friend too. So his problem was solved. But there's more. This is problem and solution, the one we just did. But you will find there are different types of text structure. It might be cause and effect. What was the cause? What was the effect? Do you remember another one, Layla? I guess I'll ask you guys, see how much you remember.
Description.
Description is the text describing something. Who can remember another text structure? Riley.
Sequential.
Sequential, what does sequential mean? What clue words are you looking for?
First, next, then last, finally.
Very good. Awesome. So it might be organized that way. Who can tell me another type of text structure?
Cause and effect.
Yep, we talked about that one.
I didn't hear it.
That's okay.
Come on, repeat it.
Luke?
Compare and contrast.
Compare and contrast. Are they comparing something and contrasting something? So these are questions you can ask your kiddos when you're reading with them. What type of text structure does that have? Is it a cause and effect? Is there a problem and solution? And it really makes them understand the text more than just reading it like we did. They really have to understand how it's organized. And those are the type of questions they expect them to know on the standardized testing. So I wanted to make sure I touch base on that before we go on to our questions. Anything anybody wants to add, ask, anything? Okay. All right, so let's go to number 1. And this is also another thing that might be new to you guys, is things just aren't asked in a simple way anymore. We have to, especially if it's on the computer, which all testing's on computer, but drag and drop things, fill in charts. It's not just A, B, C, or D always. So for number 1, you can see that it says, which sentences from the story answer the questions beginning with who, what, where, and how, and you got to put an X in the correct column. So if you're on a standardized test, you might have to drag an X to the proper location. So dragging and dropping. So the kids have to be able to read this, and they've got to know that they've got to be able to read, it was an umbrella with a gold handle. And they got to go across then and know, does that answer who? Does that answer what? Does that answer where? Or does that answer how does? Okay, so they got to be able to read these type of questions. So of course that is, what does the monkey find? So that's where your X is going to go. So then on the second one, the sun beat down and monkey was hot. Does that answer who? Does that answer what, where, or how does monkey feel? If the sun beat down, what does it answer, Riley?
What?
Doesn't answer what. What does monkey find? That's here. That's what. The sun beat down and monkey was hot. Let's look over on this one.
Right.
What's the last one? How does he feel, right? He feels really hot. And by the way, we miss questions in our class all the time, don't we, Riley? We don't have to have the right answer, do we? Because when we make mistakes, is it a big deal in here? No. Why? Why is it no big deal if you make a mistake? Luke,
Because you can learn from them.
you learn, that's the best way we learn, right? From mistakes, right? And so if you say something wrong, no big deal. We learn from it. Because I want to make sure all the kids, I don't know about you, but I remember sitting in that classroom, scared to death of my teacher, scared to death they were going to call on me, scared to death I was going to feel inadequate when they called on me and I didn't get the right answer. And so just be clear that is not how it is in here, and I hope it's not that way anywhere in our school. I can attest I don't think it is. So because when kids don't know something, their friends help them out, they learn from their mistake, they never feel inadequate. So I make mistakes all the time, and I don't know all the answers either, do I, Riley? So,
Sometimes you
oh,
were wrong in our math book was.
yeah, I was wrong once.
Mr. Jones,
I
Our
know.
math book was different than yours.
I
I
know.
know something
Yes.
about it. There's something that me and my grandparents says. Worry about what you can do, not what you can't.
That's true. That is very true. Very true. All right, third one, he shaded the gazelle with the umbrella. Is that, who does monkey help? What does monkey find? Where does monkey go? Or how does monkey feel? He shaded the gazelle with the umbrella. Which one of those, Clayton?
Who does?
Who does monkey help? Right? He shaded him with the umbrella. So that's where your X would go. And the last one, with the umbrella, the friends set out to explore India. Is that go with who does monkey help? What does monkey find? Where does monkey go? Or how does monkey feel? Katie,
Who does monkey help?
who does monkey help? That was the shaded gazelle. That was the one before. With the umbrella, though, they're setting out.
What does monkey find?
Now he found the umbrella. Remember? He found the umbrella and he helped the gazelle with the umbrella.
Where does monkey go?
So now he's exploring India, so, yep, so which one's that?
Where does monkey go?
Yep. So where does monkey go? He is going to India. I tried to pick an example of one that would be kind of more challenging so you guys could see kind of how we have to do things. Okay, number 2. Which statement best tells about the beginning and ending of the story? Don't you love that word best? That basically means, well, that could be, and that might be too, and well, that I can see where that could be the answer. So it's hard. And you know, sometimes I even tell kids, hey, if it was up to me, I'd take A or B, but you know, they say it's such and such. But so which statement best tells about the beginning and the ending of the story? So this is how I teach the kids to read their questions. So this might be something that you guys as parents want to reiterate at home. So, which statement tells the most about the beginning and the ending of the story? Is it, monkey wants a friend at the beginning